Today at the Capitol, Pam Bondi just had hours to do one job: show respect to Epstein survivors and answer basic questions about the Epstein files. She chose performance. She chose deflection. She chose protecting the powerful. Jamie Raskin introduced survivors and family members in the room and reminded her, your mission is justice and your client is the American people. Then survivors were asked to stand and raise their hands if they still have not been able to meet with the DOJ. Every single hand went up. That's the whole story right there. The victims show up, the DOJ doesn't.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please note for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand.
She was asked a direct question. Will you turn around and apologize to the survivors for what your department put them through with the unacceptable release of their information? And instead of turning around and facing them, she tried to drag the conversation back to the past and hide behind procedure. No, when you're the Attorney General, accountability is not optional. It's not a suggestion box. It's the job.
Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi,
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions that witness get to answer in the way they want to answer it.
That's not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer. So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked.
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I'm reclaiming my time, and when I reclaim my time,
I'm not getting in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentle lady. The gentle lady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just...
Chairman, I'll direct it to...
And here's what people inside the room are saying. She brought a so-called burn book to attack Democratic members personally. Let me translate that. Instead of answering for the DOJ, she came armed with insults. That's not leadership. That's evasion with a microphone. The moment anyone even hinted at Dumpy and Epstein in the same sentence, Bondi exploded. She insisted there's no evidence of a crime, then lashed out when lawmakers referenced statements and allegations being raised in the hearing record. And listen carefully. Allegations are not proof, but a public servant who is innocent doesn't need to scream. They answer. That was not confidence. That was panic dressed up as outrage.
Discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former president. Here's the video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one who asked for those files.
I got your answer. You said
President Trump asked for the legislation. This is...
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off. The officers at the scene said that could not have been.
And this was not just Democrats. Republican Thomas Massie grilled her about redactions, document handling, and the harm done to survivors. When Republicans are saying your transparency is broken, you're not being treated unfairly. You're being exposed.
From the DOJ production, they're emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact. A list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victim's survivor's names, right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking. Co-conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, we don't redact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files. But he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here, the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD302 release. These are the documents that we need, that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI.
Survivors came for accountability. Bondi came for a meltdown. And if your DOJ can't face victims and answer questions without throwing a fit, then you're not running justice. You're running interference. Follow for updates. I'm not looking away.